The second part of a previous video. In the previous video, we have shown that how can a matrix be used as a linear transformation, that is to represent a linear transformation. What do we mean by linear transformations? We mean that after the transformations, the origin of the coordinate or the space will be fixed on its place and the parallel lines will be parallel. Now, if you have not seen the previous video, go watch it because some concepts of there will be needed in this video. Now suppose we take a matrix, a 2 by 2 matrix for simplicity. Now every matrix consists of some column and row vectors. In this particular case, we have 2 row vectors and 2 column vectors. We will consider the column vectors for simplicity. Now as you can see, there are 2 column vectors. The first one, that is the red one, represent after the transformation where the unit vector of the x axis will go, and the green one represent where the y axis unit vector will go after the transformation. Let's see in a more visual way what do I mean by this. Understand how a matrix represents transformation, I have taken this 2D grid. Now let's take any arbitrary matrix, just like this one, 3i, 3 1 and 2 minus 2. Now like any other 2 into 2 matrix or 2 by 2 matrix, it has 2 column vectors and they are 3 1 and 2 minus 2 here. Now the first one represent where the unit vector of x axis land after the transformation, that is the green axis. As you can see, the green axis or the green vector lands on 3i, and the second one represent where the yellow vector will land after the transformation, that is a linear transformation. So it will land in 2 minus 2. You see that this matrix represent this exact transformation, and this is linear because all lines are parallel to each other and the origin is fixed at its place. Now let's do the inverse again here. Now suppose you want to find out where any point of this plane will go after the transformation. To do this, let's take this point and we represent it using a column vector -2 1, and in physics we write it -2i plus j. Now to find out where it will land after the transformation, we just replace I using the first column vector and the j using the second column vector, that is where they land after the transformation. Now if we do that, we will find out that the orange vector will land in -4 -4, and you see that here we get again the matrix, and this is the proof of how we get the matrix multiplication formula. Now if we transform the plane, you see that the orange vector indeed lands on -4 -4 here. Now using this you can find out any vector and its transformation. Now let's see what is a Fibonacci matrix and how its transformation look like. Most of you will know what Fibonacci numbers are. They are the numbers in this particular sequence. This particular sequence is very beautiful, and we can get this using a particular recursion formula. The recursion formula is this one. Here we consider that f of 0 equals to 1 and f of 1 equals to 1, and this gives us this particular sequence. Now as I have asked you to watch the previous video, because in that video sir has shown you that there is a particular matrix which can be used to generate this sequence. Now that matrix is this one. This one is called Fibonacci matrix, and it has 2 column vectors like any other 2 by 2 matrix, and they are 2 1 and 1 1, and they represent where the unit vectors will land after the transformation, as I have shown you before. Now in the previous video we have asked a question that can you find a line which will be in its place after the transformation? To solve this question, you need to solve this equation. This is called the eigenvalue equation, and here the lambda is called the eigenvalue of this matrix, and the xy are eigenvectors. There are many eigenvectors, I mean infinitely many one, and using this equation we can find that there are 2 particular eigenvalues, and we get these values as 1 plus phi, where phi is the golden ratio, and 2 minus phi. Now if we put these eigenvalues in this equation, we will get the infinitely many vectors, eigenvectors, and I will represent it using a straight line. Well, the eigenvectors are, because of 2 we will get 2 eigenvectors, 2 family of eigenvectors. The first one is this one and the second one is the blue one. Now here a and b are any constants. Now to show you what they represent and they really are in their place after the transformation, let's see the transformation. To watch the transformation, let's draw a grid. Now let's find out where the eigenvectors are. Now let's add the eigenvectors to see the transformations of them. Here, because of we have 2 eigenvalues, we have 2 eigenvectors according to them, and because there are infinitely many eigenvectors, I have drawn the straight line. Now according to Fibonacci matrix, let's transform. As you can see that along the yellow eigenvector, the plane is squished, and the orange one, the plane is pulled. Now this is the transformation of the Fibonacci matrix. Now let's see how this matrix is related to torus. And remember one thing, that matrices are linear transformation. Let's begin our main topic, that how Fibonacci matrix transformation represent a torus. Now as we know that like any other matrix, a Fibonacci matrix is simply a 2 by 2 matrix. It's something like this. It has simply 2 column vectors and it represents a transformation. But this matrix alone can't represent the transformation which is related to torus. We need some additional constraints, and for this particular case, using the constraint of mod of 1, this particular mapping is called Arnold scat mapping. Now using any other vector x and y, we will see that any vector x and y is mapped to a vector 2x plus y and x plus y, mod 1, and this mod 1 signifies that the mapping only takes the value of the fractional part. Suppose as an example, we take x and y equals to 0.3 and 0.6. Now using the mapping, that is the Fibonacci mapping with the constraint of mod 1, we get something like this. And if we do the calculation, we will find out that the value is somewhat 1.2 and 0.9 mod 1. But because of this mod 1, this will only take the fractional part. So we see that the 0.3, 0.6 is mapped to the point 0.2, 0.9. This particular mapping can be done for any mod, but mod 1 is special, and this is called Arnold scat mapping. Now let's see for the whole plane what will happen. Because the mod 1 only takes the value where the mod 1 only gives you the fractional part, the whole plane will be constrained at the point there. That is, it is locked on the region of 0 to 1 and that unit cube. So now let's see what it represents in much more detail. Now let's see the mapping. Because we are locked in the region of the first unit square, so we will only consider shapes inside it. Now let's consider a shape with different colors with different parts to understand the mapping much better. Now we apply the Fibonacci matrix transformation, not the mod part, only the matrix transformation to this shape, and we get something like this. Now because the determinant of any matrix represent how much the area of any shape will be increased in multiplication or division form. So because the Fibonacci matrix determinant is 1, so its area is same as before. Now we apply the mod 1 constraint in this transformation. So we see that the whole part is again locked inside the unit square. Now you can understand the transformation using this, but some properties are not so obvious. So let's take a image to understand the transformation much better. And I have a handsome face, so let's take my image for the transformation. Now let's take my image at the beginning, which you have seen, so this image, and using a Python program I have applied the transformation on this image, and the output is something like this. So you see that this is somewhat similar to the colored shape as you have seen before. Now here, for the input and output, notice one thing, that at last we have used the mod1 constraint, and because of that the input image left side is y equals to 0 and the right side is y equals to 1, and because of the mod1 constraint the first side should be y equals to 1 mod 1, so it should be 0. So those two are the same, and as you can see that the output, they are indeed the same, and same goes for the upper and lower part. They are x equals to 0 and x equals to 1, so mod 1 constant make them same, so they should be also connected. So let's see how we will connect it using a continuous surface in 3D. So let's see, and you will understand. We will get a torus. As you see, this is the image in 3D. Now, as I have told before, that y x equals to 0 and x equals to 1 under the mod 1 constraint are the same entity. That means those two lines are actually one and the same thing. So we have to connect the photos, those two lines. So we connect it, and you know that if we connect those opposite sides of a plane, what will happen? We will get a cylinder, that is a cylindrical shape. So connecting the opposite sides, that is the x equals to 0 and x equals to 1, gives us this cylinder. Now remember, we have to connect those opposite sides also, because they are also one and the same. So now let's see what will happen if we connect them. Now under the mod 1 constant, y equals to 0 and 1 are same, so we connect them, and connecting them we get a torus from the cylinder. Isn't it beautiful how the Arnold's cat map is giving us torus? So you see that because of the mod 1 constraint, the boundaries, the opposite boundaries are one entity, and connecting them gives us this beautiful torus. And how it does not matter how many times you use the mapping, each one will give you the torus. For this video I have something special for you. This is the Python program, and if you run it using your webcam, it will use the mapping to map in live video, and the upper link will take you to a website where using your mobile or webcam that will map your face on the surface of a torus. So if you are curious, try it, and you will get the code in description. So all the best and good luck.